Alright, so welcome to this remote class on statistics and facts about wireless. We were on this slide 21 last time. We finished it, basically saying that the busy hour is the prime time, and generally the prime time is after 5 p.m., 5 to 8 p.m. or so. And so somewhere there is a busy time, busy hour, and that has traffic which is which grows much faster, which will grow much faster over the next 5 years or 4 years now. So now we go from actually a total different term. Instead of being on the be talking about the business aspects of wireless networking, let's talk about some human aspects. And so the second report that I'm going to talk about comes from IT, and the ITU is the International Telecommunication Union, which is part of United Nations. And so they look into all the countries of the world, and they produce statistics as to what is missing from the world, not just places where there is a lot of money. And so this report is more from that point of view. So the first fact they have, and actually the report is produced every year. So as you can see on the bottom, the numbers that I have is from this year, from the last year's report, 2015, which is the latest, and the URL is there too. So the 7x in 15 years, users in 15 years. This is not a forecast. Actually, this is actually a measurement of the past 15 years. So what it means is that in the last 15 years, the worldwide, 7 times more users are online than they were 15 years ago, maybe 2001 or 2000. And that means that from 6% to 43% of global population, which is 6 billion or something. So the interesting thing to notice is, while the total number of connected devices is 3 times the world population, the human beings are only 43% connected, so 60% or 57% of the population is not connected. 4 billions are offline, and that's basically significant opportunity for those who care for such things. And so that is first fact, and we will talk about that. That leads us to some other research areas which talk about how to provide networking to the countries or places where there is no infrastructure. Second fact is 12x increase in mobile broadband in the last 8 years. So the wired broadband, mobile broadband is not wired, the wireless broadband has increased 12%. So now 69% of the global population has access to 3G. Okay, and 89%, now here's the 69% is a large number, looks like the 70% of the population has access to 3G. Now the access is a keyword here. I have redlined it. So you see, before we said only 43% of the population is online, but I'm now saying that 69% has access. What it means is they have a phone which has 3G in it. Doesn't mean they're going to use it. So the access simply means having a phone which has 3G in it. Or actually not even having a phone, sorry. What it means is to living in an area where 3G is being offered, people may not have it. People may not be able to afford it. So that's the difference. 69% of the population has access to 3G. Means, if you go to a country, they might be broadcasting 3G, but many people may not be able to afford 3G, and they might even have a dumb phone. Now, that 69% is actually a misleading number, because 89% of the urban population has access. So if you go to big cities, everybody has 3G. 89% is almost like 90%. However, only 29% of the rural population has it. So in the villages, people don't have it. They don't even have access, let alone trying to use it or put some money in to get the data or internet connection and like that. Okay, so access is just having the option. Now, by the way, you should be able to ask question, comment, or anything just like you did in the class. So please raise your hand if you have a question or comment, and I will answer it. Okay. And then fixed broadband is increasing very slowly. Only 7% or 1.7 times more. No, sorry, it is only 7% per year increasing, whereas that has gone from 6 to 43%. I don't know how far. So that is 7x in 15 years, and that is some percentage which I haven't calculated. But the fixed broadband, the wired broadband, is going very slow, and the reason it is expensive. So many people in the countries that we are talking about here, poor countries, they can probably afford a 3G, but they cannot afford a DSL to home. The difference is that 3G is only when you need it, you pay, and DSL is monthly charge. Right? If you don't use it, you pay. So that's why the wired broadband is not going much in the rest of the world. I mean, it's not going right now as fast as one would think about it. Okay. Again, so all of these things, what they are saying is that the wireless is the one that is really happening in terms of networking all over the world. And then there are several places where there are opportunities for us to discover some new methods of providing that access. So here is now the same facts in a visual form. So this one says, how many people are able to use internet. Okay, so on the left you see in 2000, 400 million people had internet, which are shown in blue. You see that is developed countries in 2000, but in 2015 almost everybody has internet access. On the right side, everybody is almost blue except 2 out of 10 maybe, or 12 or something. Let me see. 3, 3, 6, 9, 12. So, 10 out of 12 people have internet today. But in the developed countries, only 3 out of 12. And in developing countries, only 1 out of, now you can count how many there are. 12 times 4, 49. 1 out of 49. Okay. And then LDC, which is even least developing countries, they have none. Basically, there is not enough to show even one blue thing there. So this is called digital divide. Digital divide because some have it, some don't. Okay. And now you see in 2015, so left was actually 2000. On the right side, at least there is one blue, and there is a lot more blue for the developing countries, but there is a lot more to go there because more people are offline than online. Okay. So this is very interesting fact is that while we talk about everybody having internet access, but really a large population does not have that access, even today, 2015. Alright, so then let's see from ITU point of view, what's happening. 2G access, which is on the top, is almost going there about 96.8. So that's almost close to 100% right there. Okay. Mobile phones are also almost 100%, 95.3 there. Right, of the world population. However, the fixed broadband is very low, and I can't read the number, but it is less than 10%, it looks like to me. The bottom graph. Blue one looks like to me the mobile broadband, but I can't be sure because I forgot to label that. The red one is online users, so that is almost like 43%, and the household with internet. So here is the thing. Users and the households are different. Household means how many families are in a house, because in many countries there is one phone per house, and even in our country, in United States, there is only one broadband per house. So I mean the DSL, when we talk about DSL. So the idea is that they measure both the households and the individuals. So that curve for the household shows 46%, but and the users only 43%, because there are many more users than the number of households. So that is about the mobile versus fixed. So you can see that the fixed is going nowhere on the bottom, and the mobile is going up and up and up. And maybe that blue one is probably a 3G, but I can't be sure what that blue one is. Okay, so we'll move on. Oh, by the way, talking of mistakes. So last class I mentioned about LTE, TD-LTE, and most of you might remember I said that is for China. Actually, that is not for China. TD-LTE is worldwide, and TD-LTE, and when we come to LTE, we'll discuss as to why TD is good. And so, some carriers have chosen TD, some carriers have chosen FD, which is frequency division multiplexing, and so that is standard LTE. What I was confused with was 3G, not really LTE. In 3G, there are two standards. One is CDMA, which is worldwide, and there is one called TD-SCDMA, time division synchronous CDMA, which is code division multiple access, and we'll talk about CDMA also at some point. But basically, so that TD-SCDMA is only for China, and that is actually China grown technology and China used technology. So I got confused with that TD-LTE. TD-LTE is worldwide. Okay, so I must fix that one. I wanted to correct that one in this class. So similarly here, if we find out what is that blue curve, we'll find out. We'll tell you next class. All right. So the next thing is internet users. So again, 29% of the internet users, actually, so what it is saying is that if there are 100 inhabitants, 100 population, then 29 people have subscription to something which could be 2G, 4G, 3G, whatever, and then worldwide that average is only 10%. For developing countries, that is 7%. For least developing countries, it is 0.5%, less than half percent. I mean, a half percent. And so you can see how the world is so different, and so people are working on it. And believe it or not, there are people at Google, Facebook, and other big companies which are looking into this problem because they want to reach people. And for them, it turns out it is probably worthwhile to provide free internet even in these countries, because the income that comes out from the advertisement and things like that, they're missing on them because they don't have access to internet. So bringing the internet to these countries is on the priority list of many businesses. Okay, so the rural area is obviously depressed everywhere, including in the United States. So less number of people will have, and this is simply a business fact. If you want to put $1 million of towers, you would put it in New York City rather than in some suburb of St. Louis. Think about that, because you won't get that many users. And so there are many more companies in Manhattan and New York City where people are, as opposed to any of the places in the United States where there are no people, right? So that is one fact. Second thing is, in these developing countries, main thing is the money. Here we don't count, when I pay about, let's say I pay about $40 a month, that's pennies for me. And it turns out that the costs are almost the same in other countries, but their income is much less. You see? So it is a much higher percentage of their income that they have to put if they want to have this thing. So we move on to the next one, IoT, and we will have several modules on IoT, Internet of Things, and that's a big opportunity right now. That is on the top of the hype curve. Only 1% of the things around us is connected. So things means anything which is not a computer. Alright, so right now all the computers have internet access, are built in something, either Wi-Fi or Ethernet. But the question is, what about your table, your fridge, your room, your fan, and your whatever you have, your body? And so everything will be connected to the internet. All right, and once they are connected, then 1% is just a guess. As we get connected more and more, that number will probably remain less than some percentage, because there are more things to connect. There is no limit to the number of things that can get connected, whether they are computing, whether they are electronic or non-electronic. Okay, so those are the things. So basically everything is getting connected, And so the companies that are in networking business, such as Cisco and other companies, HP and Dell and so on, they are worrying about, they are getting into this, they're putting quite a bit of money on this Internet of Things. And they're forecasting 14 trillion over 10 years. And actually, when we come to that lecture, I will show you that there are so many forecasts about how much money there is in IoT. And every time somebody forecasts, they just override the previous one. So they really are not stable yet. There's a lot of hype, and so there is a lot of over forecast, and everybody is outdoing the other ones. Anyway, it is also called Internet of Everything by Cisco, Smarter Planet by IBM, Industrial Internet by GE, Cyber Physical Systems by some of us in the academics, and Internet of European Things when we used to have this thing. So I talk about this, that 5 years ago we wrote a survey of what's happening on the internet. We means my students and I. And we wrote about everything that was going on, but we wrote a paragraph about Internet of Things. We said, oh, this is only thing which is going on in Europe, and it's not of much interest here. So this is actually, that was the case. At that time, it was the Internet of European Things. In the United States, there was no interest, while there was a lot of interest in Europe. But now it has become worldwide. So anyway, so Internet of Things is another reason that why wireless is kind of hot right now. So summarizing all this, this is what the future looks like. Okay, in the future you don't need wires. You will have internet everywhere, and then you could live as well, basically, and be connected and be talking and be social as if you were in the middle of a city. And this is based upon the observation that before there were roads and good cars, people used to live in the cities. But as soon as the cars came in, all the rich people moved out of the city and started living in the suburbs, because that is where the fresh air is, and they can get into the city within minutes, right? So same thing with internet. You could get fresh air wherever you want and get into the work any second you want. That brings us to the end of this module. And the 5 key things are, first, that the Wi-Fi has grown worldwide in just 15 years. Actually, I should be correct about that. 1997 did we say, right? So 97 to 16, now almost like 18, 19 years. So that's where Wi-Fi has gone from 2 megabits to now 500 plus megabits. 5G, cognitive radio, M2M, terahertz, smart antennas, LTE advanced are the topics of active research right now. And maybe LTE advanced should go off this list, because I think LTE advanced is being offered now. So it's kind of, right now it is 5G more than LTE advanced, which is 4G. Wireless speed growth is following the Moore's law. And so basically, it will increase by a factor of 2 every 18 months, but it could go even faster if the wireless people do some more work, which we are doing. Mobile subscriptions are approaching world population. So as we said, that while the mobile subscriptions are approaching world population, but it is not uniformly distributed, there is a digital divide. And so while some of us have more than one phone, while others have no phones, while some of us have a lot of internet access and others have no internet access. Then most of the traffic is video. So that's another fact to remember, that there is a lot of traffic on the wireless and on the internet today, and most of it is video. Now we keep track of this, every few years, and then, like I remember saying about 5 or 10 years ago, that most of the traffic is web traffic, because web had just been introduced. Before that, it used to be email traffic. Now email is, almost like, I would say, before 94 to 2000 it was web traffic, and now it is video traffic. You see? So the type of traffic keeps changing with time.